Beloved mighty companions of this light circle. There's no greater value than this light circle. We're here. And I'm hearing Jesus talking about looking at guilt guiltlessly. Looking at guilt without guilt. We're talking today about one of the quotes to peel every belief to God's own higher court. And Jesus said, come on into that court to make your appeal, because you will see their prosecutor. You've been prosecuting yourself all this time for something that never happened. That's an invitation into the court of God to see that there's only imperfect innocence. Now, this is a court we like to all go to, beyond the laws of this world of suffering. So looking at guilt guiltlessly, how powerful is that? Is infinite light looking upon guilt, the idea of a tiny mad idea, and looking directly at it as divine being to see it doesn't exist. Like, Jesus, can we just look at the whole enchilada? He says, yes, take it on out and look at it. Especially when we see the divine infinite beings. Yeah, I can still hear him saying, yet withhold nothing from me. You withhold it from yourself. So we're giving it all over to him, to the light within. His voice is the symbol of the light within, shining. So we focus on the light that we are. Basically say, give it to me, Jesus, go ahead. I'm willing to see all of it with you. The power of the one that walks with us. So we've been going through, which this might be number 5 for this chapter. He's very slowly going through these chapters again. I see how valuable it is for me to look at these chapters where, mentioned before, it's becoming a book. Before it was separate chapters, and just putting out each chapter and going through each chapter. And I see the purpose for that for here, because we tend to, in limited consciousness, we tend to grab something and then, read through that chapter as quickly as possible. And this book really is for contemplation. One chapter, one sentence at a time. Just let it resonate in the heart and let it be shown each chapter. That each sentence, each word carries the power that we've called this to ourselves. We called Jesus to us and him to us. We can't be apart. We see that we're always together, and he'll answer every question. At the same time, he says the only question of value is, what am I ultimately? But since we're so used to questioning ourselves and questioning our identity now, by having the dialogue in which we can question and talk to superconsciousness, or that representative that moves through consciousness as the Christ. We can have clarity on our identity and see where we're denying divinity. How we're questioning identity through guilt. Guilt is a means to question identity. So these light circles are an opportunity to look directly with Jesus at guilt. He's saying, look with me. The bifurcation, the split. The infinite power we have as infinite beings to look directly as infinite beings to anything arising in consciousness and see it's not true. and that it's our own miscreation. So he's been talking about a number of things, willingness, of course, willingness to look, and how it carries God with it. It's that spark of God movement that we still remember while we're kind of playing. I love that. In all these movies we watch, no matter how much seemingly the ego, quote unquote, the denial of divinity is kind of floating out there, we can see as light beings that the light's still here. So we know we're the light, and we know these answers are already answered. But through the expression of consciousness and the bifurcation of the mad idea and the guilt, the desire to experience guilt, because we can only experience it by desiring it, because the light of divine being desire. And with guilt is fear. And then all the emotions express out of that. All the otherness. I can escape through otherness. I can be saved through otherness rather than this way. I can be saved by standing right where I am as divine being and looking directly to see what generates, where is the source of the experience? Where does experience come from? Can an experience happen without you being there? Has it ever happened without you being there? Has sensory experience ever happened without us being there? From the time we were born, were we always there when sensory experience was there? And yet we're before sensory experience. Is the light of divine being before sensory experience and our direct experience, our direct recognition, because it's really recognition. Before we're born. That's a great place. Might be Nisargadatta Maharaj says that. Contemplate before you're born. See how that works. What's that? It's like I can't. Oh, we can contemplate before you're born. You see that you're here before the idea, the concept of birth. Unborn awareness. That's why it's called unborn awareness. Awareness that's never been born. Has the light of God, light of infinite being, ever been born? We find birth at any point. Unborn awareness. So as unborn choiceless awareness, as that, because we already are that, let's look at the tiny mad idea. Why not? Whole enchilada. We're light of God. So it's the fear that we generate within ourselves to not look directly. So why not just look directly and see what happens, see if we blow up. See if we actually become annihilated. All the plans of the ego. See if fear comes up. The only way fear arises is if we desire it. Does the light of divine being desire that experience? Divine being, light, looking around going, I'm just looking for something in consciousness to have a problem with. Perfect peace. So let's just look directly. Jesus says, bring it to the court. The court of God is divine being, infinite nature. What is? For Jesus, is there any subconscious guilt? I'm willing to have it just completely fried by the light of divine being. I think we need to be, in truth, in honesty of God, like really just dead on, give it to me. I want to see it. Anything that denies that God is always here. See if the world stops or earthquake comes, hit by lightning. look over our shoulders. Something going to happen. With guilt, or we just let guilt be and just rise up and in the light of divine being. There's Jesus right on the wall. We can just keep our eyes peeled on him. He walks with us. How could it be a problem with all the guilt of the world, for the whole creation of the world? Let the smoke rise. The whole creation of the world. Let's go for it. Just admit it. The light of divine being, do we create this world? Hear the answer. Okay. Is the light of divine being holding me accountable for that? Is the light of divine being asking us to suffer guilt for that? All emotions in the world, horror, shame, just pile them all in there. Jesus said, just fill a bucket. The bucket. It's a bucket that makes us feel like we have a shape of a bucket, except it looks like a body. What's up? Moody says, you are not a container for thoughts. It's true. It's like what we're doing. Have a bucket, and then we're going to put all these concepts in it, all the concepts of what we are. Just fill it up, and then we feel solid. And then we're in pain because, again, we stuffed ourselves in the shoe. Once again, I congeal like Jell-O, but at least we can say, look, I want it. I want to congeal like Jell-O and be an object. I really want it. Okay, so, and again, wanting it, like just seeing how it's wanted. That's all Jesus is saying. See how much you want it. You try to project it. It seems like it's going out this way. You can throw it away, but what you're doing is you're pulling it. Rather than the divine expression, it's like, it's creation of the world and then boomerang it back so that you feel like an object that the world's slapping around. So I have to admit it. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with, okay, I admit, I'll start with that. I want it. Wanted the experience. But I don't have to have it anymore. The light of divine being, do we need to continue that experience in order to be light beings, like right here, right now, in perfection? No requirements. Just keep nothing hidden. Because we're hiding from ourselves. So yeah, let's just look at guilt. Guiltlessly looking at guilt. I mean, let's just look at divine terror. That just sounds really good. The like totally infinite light, divine being, and we'll just look directly at terror and see how long it lasts. I never thought of that, you know, because there's so many times you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be annihilated and God's going to get me and all that. So let's just look at it. Why not? Look directly at it. See what happens. That's the entire gig, is not to look. So we'll look. We'll look again and see how long it lasts in the light of divine being. How long a single desire can last. How long a single thought of guilt can last in the light of divine being. Full on. Fill up a bucket with the entire self-concept. That feels really good. The whole self-image. Like take them all. Every picture, every thought of a body, every whatever it is, every conceptual thought, fill a bucket, pack it tight, and set that like into the light of infinite being. See what happens. We'll just check it out. That's Jesus is saying we're entirely capable of this, by the way. Every picture you ever had of yourself, your family, just put all in there, pack that bucket, pack it tight, Every picture of a body, every self-concept, everything. And just let's just see what happens. It's like an experiment to see if we all blow, if everybody blows up or not. Because that's always the threat. You're going to blow up. It's going to be horrible. The world's going to end. I can't keep things that I really want. And just test it out and see. You can try to take them back out. I'm checking. Let's explore. It feels good to explore that. Every denial that I could possibly be a divine being, it's all in the bucket. Put that in the light. That's guiltless looking. Don't need a jury. Don't need an interview. Just put the whole in this circle and see of infinite being, of joined minds that are already joined. It's only with the desire to see happiness, to see what's true, divine light. You know, I keep saying, back the truck up. Back it up. I'll take as much as you're willing to show. And we know this because we can look at the divine light and see, does the divine light have any challenge whatsoever with taking it all, like right now, every bit of it? You can't hear the divine God light. Look, divine light's not saying, okay, don't put that in for sure. You see how we can see that voice? It's not saying don't put that in. Don't reveal that to me. I can hear divine light saying, go for it. You're worthy. This is your worthiness. All in now. No toe dipping. The whole bucket goes in. Perfect happiness right now. Infinite, unchanging happiness right now, the whole bucket. That's messages for me. I'll take it. Limitless happiness. It may seem like a step to let emotions arise. It's always about the purpose. What's it for? Again, I just hear the ding ding go up. It's really that mind train to go up immediate, any emotion arising. First of all, it interrupts the pattern. These are the emotional patterns are showing up. They've been running throughout lifetimes, eons. It is to see what is true. Is this to see what is true? If the willingness is underneath it. That's the most important thing, willingness, or to preserve a sense of separation. Hundreds of years of going to the counselor and telling them the same thing, which is a way of insisting through emotion that the world is true. I want this to be true. I'm not willing to see it. Because in its innocence too, it's not to judge it, it's just that underneath it, there's a desire to keep, improve separation under it. So it's not available. It's keeping the bifurcation between superconsciousness and subconscious mind. And that's where all the pain is, trying to hold the world apart, Atlas on our shoulders, rather than continually seeing that bifurcation isn't true. Muji says breath is absolute. Whose breath is it? Emotions can serve The purpose to keep a story or the willingness to release it to see what's true. Again, he's saying, repeating, not to suppress emotions, but really look below them quickly. The desire for them, the desire for the experience of emotion. It may seem necessary at first to experience emotions as a release of deep hidden guilt or to uncover beliefs. See that I have no judgment in emotions or stories arising or anything else of this world. It is your function to see no error, so don't see an error in it anyway. Oh, I'm having an emotion and that's a bad thing. No, it's like Jesus. It's like an immediate signal. Because again, Jesus says these things are calls for love within ourselves, calling to know ourselves, so just go as quickly as possible to the correction. I will only point to you what is always true. The power you have is granted by the Father, the power of infinite light within. So we're looking, does the infinite light, is this true in infinite light? Regardless of what appears in form, your salvation is already assured. You have merely to cease to deny it. Guaranteed salvation. What guarantee? You buy a computer, you get 90 days. you can't buy, an extension cord has 90 days. So there's no guarantees about anything really in this world. This world doesn't know what a guarantee is. Real guarantee, the guarantee of God, that we're divine beings already. Do not pass go, you're already God. In the light of divine being, need we experience one single emotion to recognize divinity? In the light of divine being, is rage necessary to experience divine being? It is necessary within the dream to look at the conditions that bring about the denial of divine being. That's even still in the dream, yet it's helpful in the dream. It's like setting a little alarm clock, time to wake up and recognize that light's all there is. And the only thing of value is light. And that we're light regardless of whatever, however it's playing, screaming, yelling, playing in consciousness. Jesus keeps saying, look directly at the denial, directly at the desire, the addiction to guilt, yet look at it guiltlessly. Admit it, admit the desire to experience it, be shown that it doesn't actually exist. That's it. Just admit the energetic wanting rather than letting it project out into an emotional state or says this is your power as infinite being. Actually, it's your power. It's accepting the power. All that's given by God as an infinite being. There are all kinds of ways to discover divine nature. Jesus has never offered the Course in Miracles as the only way. He does offer it as a direct way. If it's desire, truly, if God is truly in his kingdom and the peace of mind that surpasses understanding, Because really, no way is necessary. We can see that as divine being. Is a way necessary or step? Because it's always here. With those powerful teachings, follow the light within, be true to the light within, which is saying be true to yourself with a capital S, which breaks the addiction, denies the addiction to other, join with your brother. Let your brother show you where you denied yourself. Contemplate infinite nature of being in forgiveness. See what's true right now. So many spiritual traditions have different elements of this. See what's true, satsang. See what's true right now. See what's true right now. See what's true right now. Very valuable. To see what you deny in a brother, very powerful. To see that that's what you deny in yourself. That's all that's offered. And really to go all the way to choiceless awareness, to unborn awareness. Completely uncoupled from personal identity in all forms of suffering, all forms of sickness, all forms of illness. This is a means for it. Amen.